On a cherry blossom Tuesday the golden boy kneels for me, again. Last life I said yes and lost everything. This time I slap him, burn the diary, ace the exams and let narcissist Ryan implode. 6 years later I own the banquet that throws them out. He remembers. I rise. It happened on an ordinary Tuesday during the second semester of senior year, when our school courtyard bloomed with cherry blossoms and the tension of college entrance exams hung heavy in the air. But for me that day etched itself into my memory for a reason far beyond exams. It was the day Emily Carter, the beloved daughter of the city's wealthiest family, confessed her love to Ryan Williams. We were just getting out of advanced physics class when I saw her, immaculate as always, with her soft curls cascading over her blazer, her manicured fingers clutching a bouquet of snow-white roses. Students slowed as they passed, their gazes drawn to the spectacle about to unfold. Emily stood in front of the main building steps like a scene pulled straight out of a teen drama. I like you, Ryan, she said, voice as sweet as the spring wind. I've liked you since middle school. There was a breathless silence. I watched from a distance, frozen. Emily Carter had everything: money, influence, looks. The girl everyone admired and feared. And she was confessing to Ryan. Ryan Williams, my childhood friend, my seatmate for 3 years, and the boy I'd secretly harbored feelings for since we were both orphans in the same group home. My heart stopped. Ryan didn't hesitate. He looked straight past Emily and walked toward me. I remember blinking, confused, thinking maybe he was just going to get his bag. But then he stopped 2 feet in front of me, his eyes full of something unreadable. Sarah, he said, handing me a bouquet I hadn't noticed he was holding. I don't like Emily. I like you. Gasps echoed from the crowd. Emily's smile froze mid-expression. Everyone was stunned, including me. I stared at him wide-eyed, words caught in my throat. This must have been some cruel joke. Ryan, liking me? He was the only person who ever called me Snail when I trailed behind on our walks home. He teased me about my thick glasses, about how I read books instead of going to parties. What was this? I mean it, he insisted. I like you, Sarah Lawrence. Always have. Maybe it was the heat. Maybe it was the stunned faces of my classmates. Or maybe, just maybe, it was the fragile piece of my heart that had longed for these words since we were 12 years old. I nodded. Fully. Naively. That was the first step into my downfall. Ryan changed after that. At least I thought he did. He started holding my hand in public. He called me every night. When our homeroom teacher scolded us for sitting too close, he would just grin and say, "We're young. Let us live a little." And I believed him. Like a fool, I fell for every smile, every touch, every hollow word. When he asked me to skip class and hang out at the arcade, I went. When he copied from my test paper and said he couldn't focus when I wasn't by his side, I laughed and forgave him. When he whispered in my ear about experiencing life before graduation, I blushed and let him kiss me in the old gym's storage room. My grades dropped, just slightly at first. Then like a landslide. From the top 5 in the school, I fell out of the top 50 by the time the mock exams came. My teachers were stunned. My parents were furious. But Ryan just squeezed my hand and said, "Don't worry, Sarah. Exams don't define you. I believe in you." I clung to that. I clung to him. Until the day he let go. Graduation day came with golden light and tearful speeches. Students buzzed about university acceptance letters, taking group photos in their uniforms one last time. I stood on the sidelines, clutching my rejection letter from the university I'd dreamed of since freshman year. Ryan wasn't by my side. He hadn't been for 2 weeks now, his texts shorter, his calls less frequent. Emily, on the other hand, had become strangely present. Whenever I passed the hallways, I saw her with him. Laughing, whispering, sharing secrets that were once mine. That evening I opened my phone, and my heart shattered. On Emily's Instagram was a photo of her and Ryan, arms linked, standing in front of a giant "just engaged" banner. Her caption, "He finally chose me." Red heart. I ran. I don't know what possessed me, but I ran to the rooftop lounge of the Carter estate, one of the places Ryan used to sneak me into when we dated. I remembered he once said he liked the stars better from up there. The view was as cold as the betrayal in my chest. That's when I heard it. Their voices, coming from the floor below through the open balcony. "She really thought I loved her," Ryan was laughing. "Can you believe it? She was head over heels for you," Emily giggled. "Didn't you find her diary in her locker?" Yeah. Pages filled with Ryan this, Ryan that. Pathetic. His voice turned harsh. I only dated her so she'd back off from academics. You know your parents wouldn't let us be together if she took the top university spot. Did they really make you promise to keep her grades down? Emily asked playfully. Of course. And I delivered. If I couldn't even handle one lovesick orphan girl, what use would I be as your husband? I felt like I'd been punched. I stumbled back, hitting the wall behind me, breath catching in my throat. All of it, every kiss, every smile had been a lie. A calculated trap. He'd read my diary. He'd used me. And worst of all, I let him. I don't remember how I got home that night. The days after were a blur. I didn't eat. I didn't sleep. My parents, already ashamed of my academic failure, left me to wallow in silence. Graduation had passed. My name had been whispered in every hallway, my reputation reduced to a cautionary tale. Sarah Lawrence, the girl who once stood proud at the top of her class, had become the idiot who gave up everything for a boy who never loved her. One rainy evening I stepped outside. The sky was dark and my umbrella wouldn't open. I walked anyway. I barely registered the sound of screeching tires. My mind was still in that hallway, still hearing Ryan's voice, still reliving every cruel word. The headlights hit me before I could even react. There was pain. Blinding, searing pain. My bones cracked like glass. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. My last thought before the darkness took me wasn't regret. It was fury. I never slapped that bastard when I had the chance. The sound of my own heartbeat woke me. Thump, thump, thump. It wasn't the beeping of a hospital monitor or the soft hiss of oxygen. It was the crisp rustling of papers, the faint murmur of students outside a window, and the fresh scent of spring drifting in through the curtains. My eyelids flew open. Sunlight streamed through the open windows of room 3A. My desk was covered in textbooks. My backpack, worn but familiar, rested against the leg of the chair. I looked down at my hands. No bandages. No blood. No IVs. Just clean skin. A perfectly healthy body. Then the realization hit like a jolt of lightning. I wasn't dead. Or more accurately, I'd come back. A sharp knock interrupted my spiraling thoughts. My seatmate poked her head in. Sarah, you're not going to believe what's happening in the courtyard. Ryan's about to confess to someone. My breath caught. My body stood up before my brain caught up. I rushed to the window and there it was. The scene I thought I'd only see once in a lifetime. Ryan Williams standing on the school's main steps, surrounded by petals. Dozens of students had gathered in a semicircle. Phones were out. Murmurs buzzed through the air like bees drunk on gossip. This time I didn't hesitate. I walked out of the classroom with purpose. Down the stairs. Through the crowd. Until I was standing right in front of him. He smiled when he saw me. That same fake smile he'd worn in the past. The one I used to think was love. He reached into his blazer and pulled out a handful of pink rose petals, tossing them into the air. They fluttered down around us like manufactured romance. He dropped to one knee. Sarah, he said louder this time. I've liked you for so long. Please. Be my girlfriend. He held out a bouquet of baby's breath like it was the most precious thing on earth. The crowd gasped, murmurs rising again. Girls squealed. A few boys whistled. I remembered this moment, how my heart had skipped, how my eyes had filled with tears. But this time, I slapped him. Hard. So hard, the petals still falling around us seemed to freeze in midair. A stunned silence fell over the courtyard. His cheek turned red instantly. His eyes widened in disbelief. Sarah? Are you nervous? He awkwardly shoved the bouquet toward me again, trying to smile through the pain. Don't worry. I'm serious this time. I need him in the groin. Then another slap. Ryan collapsed to the ground with a muffled groan, clutching himself in pain. Gasps erupted from the crowd. Laughter. My heart was pounding, but not with nerves. With power. I looked down at him coldly. I don't like you. I never will. Don't ever come near me again. I turned to the crowd. Show's over. Go back to your lunch. The students scattered like startled birds. Some lingered, but I held my head high and walked back toward the classroom. Behind me, I heard Ryan stumble to his feet. You think you can humiliate me like this? He hissed. I confessed to you in front of everyone, And this is how you repay me? I turned, arms crossed. What part of stay away from me didn't you understand? His smile twisted into something darker. You're just an orphan. You think anyone else would want you? I only lowered myself to like you because I felt sorry for you. The words had once broken me. This time they barely scratched the surface. Looks like your ego grew but your grades didn't, I replied dryly. We may both be orphans, Ryan, but I've got talent, ambition, and self-respect. You've got none of the above. His face turned red. Don't forget, I've read your diary. The color drained from my face, but I recovered quickly. Right. The diary. The one he'd stolen from my desk in my last life. The one filled with my private thoughts. My love letters to him. My dreams of marrying him. Except this time I had burned it the night I woke up again. A voice cut through the tension. What's going on here? A teacher approached, brows furrowed. The other students stood back, murmuring under their breath. She hit him, someone whispered. He confessed and she just, bam. She used to follow him everywhere. What happened? Ryan stood straighter, clutching his bruised ego. Sir, I didn't do anything. Sarah's been obsessed with me for years. He stalks me. I only confessed today because she wouldn't leave me alone. He pointed at me, eyes burning with righteousness. She's got a diary. Pages of it filled with my name. She's always been in love with me. The teacher turned to me. Sarah? Is that true? I didn't speak. I simply walked back into the classroom. I opened my desk, pulled out a notebook from the deepest corner and returned to the hallway. My fingers trembled, not with fear but with carefully rehearsed anger, as I raised the pink-covered book into the air. You mean this one? Ryan's eyes lit up. Yes. That's the one. Check page 14. It has my name written 20 times. I opened the notebook and held it out to the teacher. Please check it, sir. He took it, flipping through the pages carefully. His expression shifted from confusion to disbelief. The students leaned in curiously. Page after page was filled with wrong math problems, chemistry errors, essay rewrites, a mess of academic trial and error. No love notes, the teacher said slowly. No names. Just study notes. A boy from our class leaned over to peek. What is this? Ryan, are you blind? The teacher frowned. Ryan, I hope you understand the seriousness of what you just claimed. If I didn't know Sarah's record, her perfect behavior, her academics, I might have believed your story. Ryan looked like a fish pulled from water. His mouth opened and closed uselessly. It was there. She must have switched it. That's enough, the teacher said coldly. One more stunt like this and I'll recommend expulsion. Ryan's face crumpled. The teacher turned to me. Are you all right? I nodded. Thank you, sir. That evening the entire school buzzed with the drama. Ryan's reputation plummeted. Rumors exploded like fireworks. He confessed and got slapped. She said she didn't even like him anymore. He accused her of stalking? What a narcissist. Someone nicknamed him Narcissus Ryan. It stuck like glue. He didn't show up to school for 2 days. When he did return, it was with Emily Carter on his arm, like he was trying to pretend none of it had happened. Emily beamed as if she'd just walked out of a fairy tale. They acted like royalty. They've held hands, hugged at every hallway corner. I didn't care. Because this time, I was ready. In my past life I'd fallen for a lie. This time I was going to build the truth into my weapon. And for Ryan Williams and Emily Carter, the show had only just begun. When I arrived at school the next morning, the world had changed. Or rather, Ryan's world had. The moment I stepped into the courtyard, I could feel it in the air. The sideways glances, the murmured giggles, the way students huddled in circles with hushed tones and wide eyes, passing on the same story like wildfire. He cried after she slapped him? No way. I heard she slapped him twice, then kneed him. Like bim bim. Dude, she just walked away like a queen. Didn't even look back. Ryan looked like someone had drop-kicked his ego into another dimension. I didn't even try to hide my smile. Turns out the rumors were doing all the work for me. The Sarah the pathetic lapdog image had crumbled like stale bread. And in its place, a new version of me, colder, sharper, untouchable. And Ryan? He wasn't just the school's laughingstock anymore. He was Narcissus Ryan. 2 days passed without him showing up. Rumors claimed he was too embarrassed to return, Some said he'd gone into hiding, others said he was transferring schools. But by day 3 the circus returned. He walked into the hallway, hand in hand with Emily Carter. And if that wasn't enough, he was smiling. Worse, posing. Emily wore a custom-tailored navy skirt suit with her name embroidered in cursive on the hemline. Subtle by Carter standards, which meant flashy by everyone else's. Students turned to stare, some amused, others confused. As they passed by, Ryan smirked in my direction. Emily clutched his arm tighter and whispered something into his ear. He laughed, loud and forced, like a sitcom actor trying too hard. I rolled my eyes and returned to flipping through my chemistry notes. Unfortunately, peace is something Ryan and Emily were physically incapable of allowing me. By lunch, my seatmate practically tackled me at my desk. Sarah, listen to this, she squealed, slapping her hands down. You were at the library this morning, right? So you missed it. But you'll die. I'm listening, I replied dryly. She wiggled her eyebrows. Emily publicly confessed to Ryan in the garden near the main gate. Like full-on cheesy movie confession. Flowers, violin music from a Bluetooth speaker, the whole thing. You're kidding. I wish I were. It was like second-hand embarrassment on steroids. She told him she's never loved anyone more and he, get this, cried. In front of everyone. I stared at her. And then, she continued dramatically, she kissed him. Sloppy. Loud. In front of the art teacher. Who fainted. Spot. You're lying. I have video, she said, opening her phone. Sure enough, there it was. Emily grabbing Ryan's face like a soap opera villain and planting a kiss so exaggerated it echoed like someone smashing jello. The camera caught the art teacher in the corner, stumbling back in horror before collapsing on a bench. I pinched the bridge of my nose. My brain hurts. Oh, it gets worse, my seatmate whispered gleefully. They walked into the teacher's office together after the kiss. Like they expected to be praised or something. What did the teacher say? He shrugged. I think even the faculty gave up. Everyone's just ignoring them now. And so began the flaunting era. Ryan and Emily made a point to stroll through every hallway like they owned it. Holding hands. Feeding each other snacks. Taking mirror selfies in front of the trophy case like it was a fashion shoot. They were a walking advertisement for delusion. Of course, Ryan couldn't resist the occasional jab. One afternoon I was carrying a stack of books back to the library when I nearly collided with them. Careful, he said, grabbing Emily by the waist and pulling her aside, dramatically. You wouldn't want to hurt yourself carrying all that, nerd. I looked at him blankly. Still hitting the books? He added, sneering. Don't you get it? In the end, girls like you still need guys like me to succeed. It's the way the world works. I said, nodding. Really, he continued smugly. Studying too hard makes your face wrinkle. Fascinating, I replied flatly. You know, Emily chimed in, if you spent half as much time learning makeup as you do memorizing equations, you might actually be cute. They waited. For me to cry. To lash out. To fall apart. Instead, I smiled faintly and stepped around them. Make sure to get your shots. Delusion is contagious. Ryan's mouth hung open. Emily turned bright red. Behind them, 2 juniors high-fived each other with whispered cackles. After that, they escalated. They started showing up near my classroom during breaks, whispering to each other while staring directly at me. Emily once dropped a handwritten note on my desk that said, "Jealousy makes you ugly." I fed it to the class turtle. One day as I was drinking from the water fountain, Ryan appeared beside me. "I forgive you, you know," he said solemnly. "For rejecting me. I know it was just pride. But I'm willing to take you back." "Take me back to where?" "Hell." He blinked. "You're not a lost opportunity, Ryan. You're a bullet dodged." He stared at me, jaw tightening. "You're only acting like this because you still like me." I gave him a long, sad look. "You really think the entire universe revolves around you, huh?" He pointed a finger at me. "You'll regret this." I smiled, picking up my notes. "Already did. That's why I burned the diary." He froze. My seatmate clapped quietly behind him. Snaps for Sarah. But even with the chaos swirling around me, I didn't waver. I'd learned the hard way in my first life. People like Ryan and Emily want you to fall. They feed off reaction. Off control. This time they wouldn't get either. Instead, I threw myself into my studies. While they were skipping classes for cafe dates, I was dissecting biology textbooks and practicing physics equations until my wrist ached. When they posted selfies in the karaoke booth, I was solving mock exams under a study lamp with post-it notes on my mirror. People started noticing. Even my homeroom teacher pulled me aside one day. "You've changed, Sarah," she said gently. "You seem focused." "I have a lot to prove," I replied. He smiled proud. "Then prove them all wrong." Of course, Ryan tried to push his luck again. But he wouldn't get far. Not with what I was planning. I didn't need revenge through screaming or violence. I would rise so high they'd need binoculars to look up and see what they threw away. And I'd let them choke on the view. The weather that week was oddly pleasant. Sunny with just enough wind to lift the leaves from the pavement and swirl them like golden confetti. A deceptively peaceful backdrop to what would become one of the most ridiculous weeks of my high school life. By now, the entire school had settled into two camps. Those who laughed behind Ryan and Emily's backs, and those who watched the ongoing soap opera like a live show with daily updates. I was determined to stay out of it. Unfortunately, they had other plans. It started on Thursday. I had just returned to class after submitting an assignment when I found a small, sleek object sitting neatly on my desk. A pen, except not quite. My seatmate grinned at me, twirling another identical one between his fingers. "Got it from my cousin. It's a voice recorder. Keep it in your pocket. Trust me, you'll need it." I raised an eyebrow. Expecting another performance? "Ryan cornered Emily yesterday behind the gym and begged her not to dump him," he said in a hushed voice. "And rumor has it he's planning something. Probably thinks he can convince you he's still God's gift to women." I slid the pen into my blazer pocket with a sigh. "Fine. But if this turns out to be another 'I still love you' speech, I'm faking a seizure to get out of it." He laughed. "Deal." It didn't take long. During our break, Ryan appeared at the classroom door like a misplaced ghost. His shirt unbuttoned at the collar, hair styled with intentional messiness, eyes full of something he likely thought was longing. "Can I talk to you?" he asked, his voice low and mysterious. Before I could respond, a few heads popped up around the room. One of the students sitting near the back muttered, "Oh, this should be good," and leaned forward like it was a stage play. I sighed. "Fine." As we stepped out into the hallway, I heard my seatmate whisper loudly, "Recording's on." Ryan led me around the corner, pretending to be secretive, as if there weren't 20 pairs of ears pressed against the classroom wall. He cleared his throat and turned to me with an air of self-importance. "Sarah, I've thought a lot about what happened. I know you were just scared. You didn't mean to reject me like that. It was pride." I stared at him. "Is this a therapy session or a confession? Because if it's the latter, I'd rather go back to learning about chemical bonds." His expression faltered, but only briefly. "I'm giving you another chance," he said with exaggerated patience. "All you have to do is apologize to me in front of everyone. Admit you were shy. Say you've liked me all along and I'll forgive you." I blinked. "You want me to publicly humiliate myself," I said, "so you can play the magnanimous hero?" Ryan smiled. "Exactly. I'll even break up with Emily." I let that hang in the air for a moment. "You're saying, if I apologize, you'll reward me by dumping your girlfriend?" He nodded proudly. I took a deep breath and leaned against the wall. "Anything else in this generous offer?" Ryan's face turned more serious. "If breaking up is too much pressure, we can keep things discreet. I mean, Emily's family is rich. There's pressure, you know. But you're someone I really care about. You want me to be your mistress." He winced. "Don't say it like that. Think of it more like being special. You'll have my heart. She'll just have the title." I burst out laughing. He stepped closer. "Hey, I'm serious. I promise I'll treat you better than her. And who knows, once I secure her family's support." "Let me stop you right there," I interrupted. "Do you hear yourself? You're actually offering me the role of second-choice sidekick. Like it's a promotion." Ryan hesitated. "But you said before that I was the only one you ever." I leaned in, voice low. "That was before. Before you stole my diary, sabotaged my future, and used my heart like a doormat." He looked wounded. "But you're an insecure narcissist who thinks pity is love and manipulation is affection." "I'm not flattered, Ryan. I'm revolted." Behind us, the classroom door creaked slightly. Laughter bubbled out from the thin crack. Ryan's face turned beet red. They were listening? Of course they were, I said sweetly. It's your favorite kind of audience, an admiring crowd. Back inside the classroom, the air practically crackled with tension. Someone clapped sarcastically as I walked in. Ladies and gentlemen, Narcissus, the sequel. My seatmate held up the pen triumphantly. Got the whole thing. This is gold. Another student leaned over with a grin. Mistress? Really? He offered you mistress. I nearly said yes just to get free snacks out of it, I deadpanned, collapsing into my chair. Ryan stormed past the door, his pride bleeding like a paper cut, small but relentless. I thought that would be the end of the absurdity for the day. But then came Emily. She showed up at my desk that afternoon like a royal dignitary arriving at a peasant's doorstep. Perfect curls. Peach gloss. That same irritating tilt of her chin that screamed, I think I'm better than you. Let's talk, she said. My seatmate, bless his soul, slid another recorder pen into my pocket with a dramatic sigh. Round 2. Ding ding. We stepped into the hallway. Emily folded her arms, expression sharp. I don't know what you're trying to pull, she said, but Ryan is mine. By all means keep him, I replied. He's all yours. Forever. She blinked. Good, she said, voice rising. Because we've already given each other our firsts. Emotionally and physically. We're bonded. I smirked. Congratulations. That sounds like an STD ad. She ignored me. Flat chest. No curves. You can't even compare, she added, her words sharper now. He told me. Even if he was with you, you'd always just be the backup. The mistress. You sound very confident for someone who has to keep reminding herself that she's one. Her jaw clenched. You'll never be me, she hissed. Thank God, I muttered. Behind her, 2 students rounded the corner. Emily, too consumed by her own speech, didn't notice the audience forming nearby. I waited until she paused. Then slowly I reached into my blazer, pulled out the pen and clicked it off. She froze. You recorded me? Of course I did. She took a step back, face draining of color. You can't. Can't what? Use your own words against you? I haven't even played the recording of Ryan offering me a mistress deal. Want me to post it side by side? She opened her mouth. Closed it. The hallway was quiet except for the soft murmurs of the students behind her, now openly watching. One whispered, damn. I leaned forward. Next time you try to shame someone, make sure you're not the punchline. Emily turned and stormed off, heels clicking like punctuation. My seatmate peeked around the corner with a grin. Best episode yet. Later that day, a new meme circulated around the class group chat. It was a badly photoshopped image of Ryan holding a rose and a text bubble that read, Will you be my side chick? You'll have my heart. She'll just have the Carter family fortune. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. Because everything was falling exactly into place. If pettiness were currency, Ryan and Emily would have been billionaires. After the mistress scandal, now nicknamed Mistressgate, you'd think they'd take a step back. Maybe lay low. Reflect. Journal. But no. Instead they doubled down. On Monday morning, Ryan strutted through the hallway with a bouquet of lilies. Emily clung to his arm like she was auditioning for The Bachelor. Delusional high school edition. They stopped near my classroom and posed. Yes, actually posed. For a photo while a friend took pictures from every angle. I watched from my seat, utterly unfazed. Because while they were flaunting themselves like circus clowns, I was highlighting biology diagrams and memorizing calculus theorems. While Emily was brushing on peach lip gloss, I was brushing up on literary techniques for essay prompts. I was no genius. I knew that. But I had something far more powerful now, rage-fueled discipline. I studied during breaks, after school and late into the night. I drank black coffee and solved practice papers until my eyelids twitched. I stuck formulas on my bathroom mirror. I rewrote vocabulary lists in the margins of my textbooks. I even made my own flashcards by hand. Because this time I wasn't going to let anyone, especially them, steal my future again. And then came the college entrance exam. 2 days. 6 subjects. Hours of tension. The night before I sat alone at my desk staring at the last flashcard I'd made. Success is the best revenge. I slid it into my pencil pouch, zipped it closed and whispered aloud, This time I win. The exams were brutal. But I walked out of that building with something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. No expectations. No despair. Just clarity. I'd done my best. No. I waited. Results day arrived like thunder. I sat at a local internet cafe barely breathing, staring at the login page. My fingers trembled as I typed in my ID and password. The page loaded slowly, crawling pixel by pixel. Then boom. 703. I blinked. Then blinked again. The number blurred as tears welled in my eyes. I leaned back in the chair, staring at the screen, unable to move. Not just from joy, but from the overwhelming sense of vindication. It had all been worth it. I immediately messaged my homeroom teacher, who replied within minutes. "I'm proud of you, Sarah. This is the highest score in our class." And from my closest classmates came an outpouring of congratulations. For once, it wasn't tinged with sarcasm or pity. It was genuine. Graduation arrived in a swirl of flash photography, white ribbons, and awkward hugs. Our class created a group chat filled with nostalgic jokes, old photos, and final goodbyes. It should have been a quiet, wholesome space. Until my seatmate, of course, added Ryan. "I'm bored," he messaged me privately, laughing. "And you know this will be fun." "Fun for who?" "Us," he replied with a wink emoji. "You'll see." And sure enough, within 10 minutes, Ryan added Emily. The group was never the same. They spammed the chat with 70+ photos. Morning selfies. Matching outfits. Goodnight, baby red heart, snapshots. A video of Emily feeding Ryan cake with a silver spoon. A boomerang of them doing heart signs with their fingers in a park. Publicly, everyone sent polite claps and emojis. Privately, the side chats exploded. "This is so cringe, I think I just sprained my soul. Do they think this is romantic or Revolutionary War reenactment? My parents don't love each other this much and they've been married for 25 years. But amid the love bombing, something interesting began to unfold. The other students, slowly one by one, began sharing their college entrance exam results. Some scored in the 600s, a few in the 500s. 2 had even broken into the 700s like me. The atmosphere shifted to celebration, pride, and then curiosity. Because Ryan and Emily said nothing. At first, everyone assumed they were just modest. But hours passed. Then a full day. Still nothing. That's when someone finally asked. "Hey Emily, you were in the top 100 last semester, right? How'd you do?" No reply. Another message followed. "Ryan, weren't you aiming for the top 20? Still silence. And then the photo. Dropped into the chat by someone with no context and a caption that simply read. The image was grainy but clear enough. Emily was pale, lying in a hospital bed, clutching her stomach. Surrounding her were adults in formal clothes. Obviously the Carter family. Standing awkwardly beside her was Ryan, his face bruised, lips swollen, and one eye barely open. You could almost hear the group chat erupting in real time. "What? Is that real? Where did this come from? Why does Ryan look like he got dragged behind a bus?" It was chaos. I didn't say a word. But I watched as the truth unraveled piece by piece. A classmate with connections, whose father worked in a private clinic, sent the next message. "Heard from my dad. They didn't take the exam at all. Left school the day before to go to a hotel." Wait, like, a hotel? Yep. Carter family found them in a suite. Emily's dad walked in. And Ryan got punished. No. You guys. Emily had a miscarriage. From stress. Yep. And Ryan ended up in the ICU. You could feel the shift happen. The chat, once light-hearted and snarky, went dead silent. And then came the pity. But not for the reason anyone expected. I mean, this is what happens when you play stupid games. They threw away their future for what? Selfies and drama? Sarah dodged a nuclear bomb. I leaned back in my chair and stared at the screen. No gloating. No bitterness. Just one overwhelming thought. This time I won. If it weren't for the photo, Ryan bruised, Emily pale as snow, the two of them caught in a scandal worthy of daytime TV, I wouldn't have even considered going to the hospital. But curiosity is a slippery slope. And the group chat wouldn't let it go. Field trip. My seatmate messaged. Hospital. Let's go see the final episode of Narcissus and Swan. I sent him a flat emoji in reply. 5 minutes later he sent a voice note. Come on. Don't you want to see what rock bottom looks like in person? I didn't reply. But I found myself heading to the hospital anyway. The room was too clean. That was my first thought. Too white, too sterile, too quiet. The heart monitor beeped in rhythm. A vase of flowers sat untouched near the window. Ryan lay on the bed, his face still swollen. Bandages around his head, arm in a sling. He looked like the ghost of someone I used to know. 3 of my classmates entered first, talking quietly among themselves. I lingered at the back. Then, like a scene from a bad movie, Ryan's eyes fluttered open and locked straight onto mine. His lips trembled. Sarah. I said nothing. His voice cracked. Sarah. I missed you so much. The room fell silent. Everyone turned to look at me. I shifted awkwardly, not moving. He tried to sit up, groaning, reaching out with his uninjured hand. It's really you, thank God. My feet remained glued to the floor. Please, come closer, he said. I thought I'd never see you again. That was when it hit me. The way he looked at me. The desperation. The recognition. It wasn't normal. It wasn't just obsession. He remembered. I approached slowly. Ryan, what do you mean, again? He blinked fast, eyes brimming. I remember everything. That truck, you died. You died because of me. My skin crawled. He wasn't guessing. He knew. What are you talking about? I asked coolly, even though my heart pounded. He gave a strangled laugh. Sarah, we were meant to be. I messed up last time, but we've been given another chance. You've come back. I knew you would. I took a careful step back. He kept talking, his words rushing now. Emily, she was a mistake. I was stupid. I let her distract me. But I never stopped thinking about you. When I woke up here, everything came flooding back. He looked at me with such intensity one nearly flinched. I love you, he said. I always have. Please. This time let's do it right. One of my classmates coughed awkwardly. Another muttered, what the hell? Ryan ignored them completely, eyes locked on me. You said before you liked me, he said, his voice soft. Remember? In the orphanage? I gave you my snacks. We used to sit by the fence and... I also remember, I interrupted, voice like ice, how you mocked me. How you used my diary to humiliate me. How you promised my parents you'd sabotage my life. His smile wavered. That was just... I was scared. I wanted to protect you. I didn't know how to. Lie better. I snapped. Emily tricked me, he said desperately. She pressured me. Her family. I held up a hand. Stop. He quieted. I'm not here to forgive you, I said. I came to confirm something. And now I have. He blinked. I thought you were just obsessed. But you remember too. And that means this second chance is real. He nodded eagerly. That's why, I continued, I'm not wasting a second of it on you. I turned on my heel and walked out. He called after me, pathetically, painfully, but I didn't look back. The elevator doors closed just as his voice cracked into a shout. Sarah, please. Don't leave me again. The others were silent. No one said a word as we left the building. But it wasn't over. Not even close. 2 weeks later he showed up outside my part-time job. I spotted him across the street as I handed a coffee to a customer. He just stood there, leaning against a lamppost like a cartoon stalker. The next day he was at the bus stop near my school. Then outside the library. Everywhere I turned there he was. It wasn't romantic. It was terrifying. I tried to ignore it. Told myself he'd get bored. Move on. But he didn't. One evening as I was walking home he stepped in front of me. Sarah. I stopped cold. I'm serious, he said, voice trembling. I've changed. I remember everything. I know I failed you last time, but this time, I won't. I can be better. I said nothing. I'll leave Emily, he said. I'll do whatever it takes. Just give me one chance. I met his gaze. You had a lifetime of chances. He reached for my hand. Please. I jerked away. Don't touch me. He flinched like I'd slapped him again. I loved you, he whispered. You even died for me. I inhaled sharply. He leaned forward, pleading. How can you forget that? How can you be so heartless? That's when I snapped. I walked straight to the security booth at my apartment complex and said one word, stalker. The guards, used to dealing with drunk men and delivery scams, instantly took action. As Ryan approached, they stepped in front of me and blocked his path. One of them raised a walkie-talkie. "Sir, if you keep following this young lady, we will notify the police." Ryan looked stunned. "You're calling the police on me?" "She's asked you to leave her alone," the guard said. "Now go." Ryan's face contorted. "Sarah, you can't treat me like this." "You're right," I replied. "I should have done it much sooner." He lunged forward, but the guards shoved him back. "You love me," he screamed. "You died for me. That means something." But to me, it meant nothing now. I didn't see him again. Rumor said he tried a few more times to hang around near the school, but the guards warned him every time. Eventually he disappeared, just like in my past life. Except this time, I wasn't the one vanishing. 6 years passed. I graduated top of my class, got into a prestigious university, earned scholarships, started a business. I built everything from scratch, with my own hands, my own will. And Ryan vanished into the past. Until one night he showed up again. But this time not alone. He brought the ghost of our former lives with him, clinging to a woman who looked far too tired for her age. Emily Carter. 6 years is enough time to become unrecognizable. Not just in face or fashion, but in power, in presence, in how the world speaks your name. Once upon a time, Sarah Lawrence was the girl in oversized sweaters, dragging her bag through the school corridors, head down, heart bruised. But that version of me no longer existed. She was buried under university degrees, late nights building pitch decks, rejected proposals turned into 10 accepted ones. I didn't just rise, I rebuilt. With vengeance in my bones and success in my hands. And now, 6 years after Ryan and Emily shattered me, I was about to walk into the same banquet hall that would destroy them. The hall glittered with crystal chandeliers. Laughter echoed through soft jazz, champagne flowed like rivers, and deals were made with handshakes behind designer clutches. I walked in wearing a sleek black silk gown that hugged my figure with unapologetic confidence. Diamond studs, nothing flashy. Just enough to whisper, "She doesn't need to impress you. She's already beyond you." My assistant trailed behind me, updating me on the speaker lineup. I scanned the room. Polished. Familiar faces from the business circuit. No signs of ghosts. Until one voice whispered beside me, "Look who just walked in." I turned to see one of my business partners, Mr. Patel, nodding toward the entrance. And then I saw them. Ryan and Emily. Ryan had aged badly. The easy arrogance was still there, but the charm had rusted. There was something exhausted in his posture, something heavy beneath the forced smile. Emily looked worse. Her skin was pale under too much makeup, her eyes sunken behind fake lashes. The proud tilt of her head still remained, but her movements were jittery, uneven. Like a porcelain doll with chipped paint. They hadn't seen me yet. Mr. Patel leaned in, voice low. "That's Emily Carter, right?" I nodded, lips barely twitching. "Used to be promising, I heard," he murmured. "But ever since she hooked up with that guy, her life's been a mess. Multiple terminations. Tried to keep him with a baby once. Didn't work." My spine straightened. He continued without pause. "Last one resulted in complications. He can't have kids anymore." He tried to walk, but the Carters cornered him legally. Forced marriage. Now they show up everywhere looking for investors like stray dogs. I raised my glass, letting the wine swirl. Guess some people choose the rope they hang themselves with. They spotted me 30 minutes later. Emily was the first to react. Her expression twisted into something between contempt and disbelief. She whispered something to Ryan, and the two of them approached, weaving through the crowd like they were still the center of it. When they reached me, Emily's voice was sugar-laced venom. "Well, look who it is," she said with a sneer. "Sarah Lawrence. Didn't expect to see you here. You're not someone's assistant, are you?" I didn't flinch. Her eyes flicked to my name tag, which was subtly tucked beneath my clutch. Ryan gave a low chuckle. "She probably came here with her boss. Or hoping someone will hire her." "I mean, good on you," Emily added, arms crossed. "Still working hard after all these years. Not everyone's born with connections." Her tone was mocking, but her eyes held panic. Because unlike them, I looked successful. He couldn't figure out why. And that terrified her. Then Ryan leaned in closer, his cologne too strong, his voice too smug. "You know," he said softly, I've gained control of most of the Carter family's assets now. If you're still struggling, I could offer you a partnership. I raised an eyebrow. A partnership? He smirked. One night with me. I'll give you a deal on whatever startup you're pitching. Maybe throw in some funding. The rest depends on how well you perform. My glass tilted slightly. Then I laughed. Stiffly. Coldly. Ryan, I said, my voice laced with pity, I used to think you were dangerous. But now I realize, you're just pathetic. He blinked. You think I'm here begging for scraps? I added. You think I came hoping you'd save me? I leaned in closer. Let me give you a gift for old time's sake, reality. You're a joke. Emily stepped forward, bristling. Watch your mouth. But her words were cut off by the sound of a microphone clicking. The host of the banquet had taken the stage. He greeted the guests, thanked the sponsors, and then his eyes scanned the room. When they landed on me, he smiled. A genuine smile. Ladies and gentlemen, he said, we're honored to have a very special guest with us tonight. Please raise your glasses for our second-largest shareholder and strategic partner, Miss Sarah Lawrence. The room turned to me. Applause followed. Glasses were raised. People smiled. Ryan turned to stone. Emily swayed slightly, lips parting. I met their stunned expressions with the faintest smile. Oops. I forgot to mention, I own part of the company hosting this event. The host descended from the stage and walked straight past Emily, past Ryan, and stopped in front of me. Miss Lawrence, he said warmly, shaking my hand. Having you here personally honors us. Thank you, I said. It's a pleasure to be part of something this meaningful. The moment was perfect. Crushing. Elegant. Public. Ryan found his voice first. He stepped forward too quickly. We know each other, he said. High school classmates. We go way back. Emily forced a laugh. Yes. We were so close in school. I held up a hand, silencing them both. Chairman, I said politely, could we please have these irrelevant individuals escorted out? My voice was smooth. Come. Taken. I don't like them. The chairman's smile didn't even falter. He turned to his assistant. Escort them out, please. Security arrived within seconds. Ryan's expression snapped into panic. Wait, Sarah. Miss Lawrence, please don't do this. Emily grabbed his arm, shrieking. Don't cancel our deal, we need this. I don't recall offering you a deal, I said, sipping my wine. But you said, Ryan stammered. Right. That you give me a deal. For a night. The guards moved in. No. Please. Emily's voice cracked. We were wrong. We didn't know. They were dragged backward through the crowd. Miss Lawrence. Ryan shouted. Don't do this. We're finished without this deal. I know, I said. Then I turned away. Their voices faded behind me. I stood tall as the applause resumed, my glass raised again in a quiet final toast. To the future. And to never being small enough to beg for love again. Their voices echoed faintly even as the ballroom doors swung closed behind them. Miss Lawrence. Please. Wait, don't cancel, don't. But it was done. Security had removed them cleanly, quickly, like wiping dust from crystal. And in their wake the hall fell into an odd hush, not awkward, not scandalized, but reverent. As if the room had just witnessed something powerful. Something poetic. The ghost of Sarah Lawrence, the girl who once cried behind biology textbooks and swallowed heartbreak like medicine, was nowhere to be seen. In her place stood a woman carved from steel and second chances. The chairman clinked his glass again. Shall we continue? Smiles returned. Music played softly. Waiters resumed serving and glasses began to clink. And yet, the center of gravity had shifted. Every conversation now orbited around me. Miss Lawrence, your company's expansion in Europe, brilliant. You must let us treat you to dinner next week. We'd be honored. What's your view on long-term sustainability models? The attention should have felt overwhelming. In my past life I would have folded under it. But now. It was air. It was balance. It was exactly where I belonged. Near the end of the evening the chairman returned to my side. I owe you, he said simply. I gave him a knowing smile. No. You made a smart business call. He chuckled. Still, watching them get dragged out like that, cathartic. More for me than you, I promise. His grin faded into something thoughtful. You didn't even raise your voice. I didn't need to. He stared at me for a moment, then lifted his glass. To quiet power. I lifted mine. And to long memories. The next morning, news broke like a cracked dam. Heiress Emily Carter and husband thrown out by major shareholder Sarah Lawrence. Viral banquet banishment. The fall of a power couple. Who is Sarah Lawrence? And how did she outsmart them all? Social media exploded. Clips, comments, replays, speculation. Every major outlet covered it. Some were kind, others sensational. But none could ignore the obvious. The Carter family had been publicly humiliated, and their golden couple exposed as fools in front of the industry's most powerful players. It didn't stop there. By the following week, Carter Group shares plunged 19%. Investors fled. Rumors swirled that Emily's father had suffered a heart episode the day after the banquet. Their biggest partners froze deals. Board members began resigning. And finally the hammer dropped. Emily Carter was disinherited. And Ryan? No one could find him. He went offline. No posts. No sightings. No interviews. Only whispers. He tried to contact Sarah again. He was seen begging for a meeting outside one of her offices. She didn't even acknowledge him. All true. He waited outside my building for hours. Security called me. I looked out from the 32nd floor and watched him pacing, broken. Then turned away. I gave no interviews. No press statements. I didn't need to. My silence was the headline. 2 months later, I found myself standing alone on the rooftop of my downtown office building. The city stretched beneath me, lights glowing like a million second chances. A breeze tugged at the hem of my coat. The sky was a deep indigo, the stars hidden behind skyscrapers, and yet I'd never felt closer to clarity. I pulled out a thin notebook from my bag. The last copy of my diary. The one from my past life. The original, the one I had rewritten, not burned. I flipped through the pages. Ryan gave me a chocolate today. He's so sweet. I hope one day he sees me the way I see him. Maybe I'll confess. Someday. I smiled softly. Not bitterly. Not cruelly. Just full. I tore the pages out one by one and let the wind carry them into the night. They fluttered over the ledge, danced across the skyline and vanished. Downstairs, my assistant texted. Press asking if you want to comment on the Carters' bankruptcy. I typed back. No comment. Let ghosts rest. And just like that, I was free. No more diary. No more heartbreak. No more Ryan. No more Emily. They were echoes now. Footnotes. And I was the headline. I turned back to the stairwell, heels clicking like punctuation on marble. The door closed behind me with a soft thud. The past was gone. And the future? It was entirely mine. The end.